Mr. Melvin. Chairman Wendell.
Here.
Mr. Araby. Here. Mr. Oten. Here. Mrs. Chasson. Here. Mr. Lorraine. Here. President Chasson.
If everyone would please rise, our invocation will be led by Mr. Melvin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Mrs. Chasson. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, on behalf of the council, we'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. We have a full agenda tonight, which includes an executive session, as well as several items for the board of review, in addition to the regular list of ordinances for ratification, proposed ordinances, and resolutions for consideration. There will be public comment offered for each ordinance being considered for adoption tonight, as well as for each appeal during the board of review hearing at 6 p.m. If you'd like to address the council on a resolution or any other topic not included on the agenda, please fill out a blue public wishing to address the council form located by the entrance door and submit it to the council clerk prior to the public wishing to address the council section of the agenda. Moving to item A, approval of minutes. Have a motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones to accept the minutes of September 13th, 2022 regular session. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item B, state or federal legislative updates. Have any state or federal legislators want to update? Mr. Ogeron. Please remember to state your name and address for the record, please, sir. Joe, please make sure the mic's on. Maybe push the button, maybe.
Push.
Good, Rachel?
Better?
All right. Yes, sir.
Joseph Ogeron, 18903 East Main Street in Galliano, Louisiana. State Representative, District 50. I recently went to a Ways and Means Committee meeting. A subcommittee task force was convened or started that I put my name on, and it had to do all about making Louisiana more competitive. We talked about since the inception of Louisiana, we have, from the time of the inception in 1812 all the way through 1919, we gained congressional seats, all the way up to 8 congressional seats. And in 1990, we lost our first congressional seats from 8 down to 7. And in any given consecutive census cycle, they don't take a second congressional seat from you. So in 2000, we didn't lose an additional seat, but in 2010, we did, and we went from 7 down to 6, where we currently are. And here we are in 2020's census cycle, and they didn't take another one away from us, but we are basically set, if all stays the same, to lose yet another congressional seat. At the same time, there's 2 other states on the Gulf Coast, one named Texas and one named Florida, that's not having this problem, and they've gained congressional seats. And this was what was pointed out in this particular subcommittee meeting, was that things like state income tax, or the removal of state income tax, and the vast changes that would need to be made to the state's overall system. And one of them that we're very familiar with is what I like to call local government welfare. That is, all the local parishes collecting a large amount of tax, sending it up to Baton Rouge to the tune of about $4 billion annually, where y'all send legislators up there to try to bring it back down to the local governments. So there will be, in the next legislative session, an effort, or between now and the next legislative session, to come up with answers on how to address these problems and make Louisiana more competitive going forward. And I'm threw my name in to be on that subcommittee, and I'll be there. And one of the many things is vessel ad valorem taxes and the exemptions related to it. And I know that y'all have a full agenda. So I just wanted to let you know that, as representing Lafourche and all of y'all, or most of y'all, at least being y'all representatives for y'all residents, I'm here to be on that committee and do the best I can to represent our hometown and do what's best for Louisiana. And I thank y'all for y'all's service and actions. I'm also concerned about the the consolidation of the road sales tax districts with the ordinance, and here to hear how this plays out as well. Looking for fairness and equity and how we move forward within the parish as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody with any questions for Mr. Ogeron?
I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I know you were part of the 3235, the LA1, the construction. The parish put up 4.5, the port put 4.5, the state put 9, and the feds put 17. I know you were part of that, so I want to thank you for that.
Right, thank you.
You know what I'm talking about, huh?
No, I really don't.
The road by Mr. Andrew Martin.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
The corridor,
The
the su-
connector, yes, right. Airport road connector.
Right, right. So I just want to thank you for getting us. I know you had something to do with that 9 million.
Well, that as well as we
And
also.
some others, yeah.
Yeah, and many others, including the Fouchon Bridge that we're gonna add, which will hopefully, allow Port Fouchon to expand to Fouchon Island, I believe they call it, and that will continue to help our, Lafourche Parish tax base.
I knew I'd get your attention on some of these other stuff. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Thank you, Mr. Ogeron. All right, item C, we do not have an outstanding citizen this month. Item D, proclamations. Number 2, proclamation proclaiming the month of October 2022 as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whereas around the world, almost 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced physical or sexual violence at least one in their lifetimes. And whereas 1 in 15 children are exposed to domestic violence each year, 1 in 3 children who witness domestic violence are also child abuse victims. Children have the right to a home that is safe and secure and free of violence. And whereas it is important to understand the impact of natural disasters such as Hurricane Ida and the pandemic such as COVID-19 have on domestic violence victims and their children. Victims experience domestic violence during post-disaster periods face unique barriers, including loss of access to safe housing, isolation from the community, lack of resources available, housing shortages, which may restrict the victim's ability to leave a violent relationship. And whereas domestic violence is more prevalent in rural communities than in urban and suburban communities, homicides in rural communities are 3 times as likely to involve an intimate partner than in large cities. And whereas in 2021, the Lafourche Parish law enforcement agencies responded to 1,508 domestic violence-related calls, despite domestic violence being one of the most chronically underreported crimes, and 544 protective orders and temporary restraining orders were issued to Lafourche Parish to victims of domestic violence who are seeking protection from their perpetrator. Now therefore be it resolved in recognition of the compassion and dedication of the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office, the Haven Domestic and Sexual Violence Program, the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office, the Pack Place Supervised Visitation and Exchange Center for their efforts toward eliminating violence against women. I, Archie Chesson, Parish President of Lafourche, do hereby proclaim the month of October 22 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
No, I got a paper. I had 2 of them, I forgot them. Well, I left mine on the kitchen table. Yeah, I'll take one. Hello, ma'am. Just your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Melissa Williams, 150 Copperfield Court, Thibodaux, Louisiana. On behalf of the Haven, the Pack Place, Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office, Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office, and all of those who are part of our larger coalition to help domestic violence and sexual assault victims, thank you so much for acknowledging Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It is so important that individuals take this issue very seriously and bring it from behind closed doors into the light. And that is our theme this year, is that we want to take domestic violence from behind closed doors, and talk about the resources and the programming that's happening that's bringing it to a new horizon. All the things that we're doing for victims, all of the support and programs that we're trying to put in place to end violence. This is what we want to highlight this month. And so we appreciate you, and we also want to invite the great citizens of Lafourche Parish to come out to our candlelight visual on October the 18th at the Lafourche Central Market at 6 p.m. So we just encourage the whole town to wear purple on that day and to show solidarity for domestic violence victims and their children and their families and the communities that are deeply impacted by this violence. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to congratulate you, or thank you, and all the ladies that are in attendance from all the different organizations. It's something that really does need to come to light, and this is the 10th annual Candlelight Vigil that you
Yes.
guys are having there. So just bringing awareness to it, and that is Tuesday, October 18th, 2022, 6 p.m. at the Lafourche Central Market, correct?
Yes,
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
Okay, moving into item E, presentations and our updates. We have none. Item F, executive session. Have a motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Jones, to enter into executive session for the following. Item 3, Louisiana Revised Statute 42:17A2, discussion regarding Louisiana Gaming Control Board versus Lafourche Parish Government, Lafourche Parish Council, and Lafourche Parish President. Docket number C-72225625. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays, and for the record, that will be the full council, parish president, parish administrator, Ms. Christine Russell, district attorney, Ms. Orgeron from the DA's office. That will be an executive session. So we shall return shortly. To reconvene the meeting, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Have a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams, to take necessary action, if any, regarding the matters discussed in executive session. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item G, we've already addressed. Have a motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Adams, to deviate from the published agenda, open public hearings and ordinance, deviate from the published agenda and move to, we're gonna do it different, hold on.
It's not 6 o'clock.
Deviate from the published agenda, open public hearings for ordinances and ratification, move to item number 6 on the agenda till the 6 p.m. Board of Hearing Review. All in favor? Any opposed? Huh?
Yes, he already moved to item number 6.
Yeah.
Not if you don't want to.
All right, motion by Mr. Otan, second by Mr.
Are you
Adams, to
changing?
move to item I, yeah.
You gotta have them remove their motion second.
You gonna remove your motion in second?
B, C, and W, A. Mr. Linton, you have to remove your motion second.
And move to item I.
So now
All in
we
favor?
move to item I.
Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays.
That was Mr. Mooney and who else? Mr. Otan, motion. Got it.
Yes. Okay, item I, legal advisory report. We have none. Item J, engineers and architects reports. None? Okay, item K, public wishing to address the council. Ms. Carleen.
Not at this time.
All right. Item L, council reports, news, and announcements. Mr. Otan.
I got a few. First off, I don't know if y'all got the email from Louisiana Gov. They sent it to the Department of Public Safety, State Fire Marshal's Office. It was forwarded to us, basically just saying that there's a red flag warning issued by the National Weather Service for all parishes southeast Louisiana, which includes us, due to a reduced amount of rain, dropping humidity, and high winds. So they're requesting that people avoid open burning altogether for at least a remainder of this week. So just a public service announcement to refrain from open burning, because conditions are not very conducive to being able to maintain it, or keep it under control, rather. I want to congratulate Delyn on a great, successful festival this past weekend. So good job, Delyn, and you and your group.
Thank you.
And of course, I'm mentioning festivals because I will promote now our festival, which is October 7th, 8th, and 9th, La Fête des Vietons. And it is a festival that supports 4 nonprofits here in the central Lafourche area. All the money generated goes right back into the community. And for those who don't know, La Fête des Vietons is French for the Festival of Old Times. So we have a lot of different displays and demonstrations. For instance, we have an old-fashioned boucherie that occurs on site 10 a.m. on the Saturday. But it's a typical festival with Cajun food and free music, and then once again rides and these demonstrations. The last thing I want to mention is Night Out Against Crime, National Night Out Against Crime, and I don't know if Jim was going to mention it, but Tuesday, October 4th, in the community, one of the communities I represent, which is the town of Lockport, the Lockport Police Department, along with some other nonprofits, will be doing their function at Town Hall. Used to do it at the ballpark, but this year is going to be at Town Hall. So Tuesday, October 4th, is a National Night Out Against Crime. That's all I got, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Otan. Mr. Adams.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, Mr. Pruitt had came a while back and about his annual ride to help prevent suicide. It's this weekend, October 1st in Thibodaux. Registration starts at 3:30, and in the Big Lots parking lot, you can either ride your bike, walk, whatever you want to do. And again, it's for proceeds to benefit Hope Squad. And again, it's to prevent suicide. Sorry. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mrs. Chasson.
Yeah, I want to publicly say thank you to everyone who donated to our Cutoff Youth Center Hurricane Festival, all those that attended, of course. And it was a great weekend. Thank God we had good weather, and the people wanted that fair so badly. And I didn't realize how bad they wanted it as much as they did, I guess. But it was a great fair. We had a great turnout, and I wish y'all luck on y'all's. I think y'all do well as well. We'll pray for good weather. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chasson. Anyone else? All right, we'll move into item M, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. Motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mrs. Chasson to open public hearing. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 6, ordinance creating a road sales tax district of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therein. I have a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. We do have, oh no, I'm sorry. Any public comment?
Yes. Ms. Carmen Laverne and Mr. Howard Block, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Carmen, why don't you go first?
Please remember you have 3 minutes.
Sure. Carmen Laverne, 1315 South Columbine in Baton Rouge.
Harold Block, 408 West 3rd Street, Thibodaux, Louisiana. And let me just mention that Carmen Laverne is with the law firm of Butler Snow, which is a national municipal bond firm. She is very learned about tax elections, and she's here basically to say anything that she thinks is relevant, but also to answer any questions you might have about this new district.
Certainly. And I can give you guys an overview and then answer any questions. I mean, basically, the ordinance before you is sort of the first step in what I've been referring to as the ballet that would take to sort of change this structure. The ordinance does create a single road sales tax district, but it does not consolidate the existing A and 2 districts. What this ordinance would do is create a sales tax district. Then the second step would be to come back and consider going to the voters with a tax, a single tax for the entire district. Once that tax passes, presumably, the other step would be to refund the bonds of the existing districts. As you guys know, there are existing bonds on both District B and District 2. I think there's a total of 3 bond issues outstanding. So that would have to happen. Once those bonds are refunded, then the new tax would start to be collected. The old taxes, meaning the current taxes, would cease to be collected, and the parish could then dissolve those 2 districts. The dissolution of those 2 districts is within the authority of the parish. The parish created them. There's sort of a saying, if you create it, you can dissolve it. So that would be sort of the process. But it isn't a legal consolidation. That is a separate process. This kind of district can't be consolidated legally. So what has to be done is a new district created, and then the old one's dissolved. So happy to answer any questions.
And if that goes to vote, that's a parish-wide vote, correct?
So the single district encompasses the areas that were encompassed, are currently encompassed by those two districts. So the two areas that are excluded are Lockport and Thibodeau, but the rest of the parish.
Now, we have given the two mayors in Thibodeau and Lockport the opportunity to sign on to this. We were at the Lockport Town Council meeting. I think they're gonna do it. They're gonna wanna join in, or at least add it to the proposition language where they can. I talked to Mayor Eshley on Friday. I have to send him some additional information and go to one of their council meetings to kind of explain the process we've been on and how we got to this point, to see if they're gonna wanna join in as well. But we've given them the opportunity.
And this will benefit the parish, correct? To have it consolidated as one?
Yeah, no doubt.
Sorry, Mr. Grew. I'm Mr. Melvin.
Yes, my question is for the parish president. I understand what you're trying to do, and thank you, Ms. Laverne, for all your work on this. I just want to make sure that the people understand that this is not a bait and switch, and are we going to try to do, what's the effort the parish is going to do to educate the public that this is not an additional tax, this is to try to consolidate, theoretically, what we're doing is getting rid of this one and try to have one.
Yeah, so we've already begun the process of meeting with the chamber boards, the boards of the South Central Industrial Association, the Bayou Industrial Group, to have them kind of sign on to this, because as governments, I can't tell somebody how to vote, right? We can only say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. We have met with a group of small business owners from both North Lafourche and South Lafourche who are very enthusiastic that we're doing this, and they are working to form a PAC. So the PAC will be able to play a much larger role in saying, hey, vote yes, and this is what it will do. I wasn't going to do anything tonight because I knew we were going to have a long meeting. I didn't want to interfere with Assessor Thibodeau's tax review board. But when the ballot language is proposed, I think at the next council meeting, we're going to have a very in-depth presentation about how this is going to work, how it's going to happen, and what the savings are going to look like, both on the sales tax side and the ad valorem tax side for you guys as well.
Yeah, and again, thank you. The more the public knows, the better, because it's going to end up in the voting box, so.
No doubt.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, on this proposal that we have now, it's a 20-year tax, and you still got 5 years left on it. And we just bonded out some money. So let's say it doesn't pass, because I don't think it has a shot. Because I got the percentages of what took place years ago. And this thing tonight is very vague. You're just introducing a district, but you got District 2 and you have District A. And the boundary line has always been the power lines, okay? And I can tell you this, I would be shocked if Thibodeau would come in, because in 1987, we wanted to pass a parish-wide 1-cent sales tax for garbage and trash, and they said they weren't gonna join, and they didn't join. Lockport joined, and Golden Meadow joined, but they didn't. So if they would join, that would shock me. Because you gotta go, what is it gonna be, a half a penny? Okay, it's gonna be a half a penny. Right now, road sales tax 2 is a half a penny from the power line south, including Golden Meadow. Road sales tax A is a penny. Power lines north, excluding Lockport and Thibodeau. So if you go to a half a penny, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because if you generate $4 million this year and you go to a half a penny next year, you're only going to bring $2 million. Now, if you get the city of Thibodeau in, but I doubt if they'll come in, you'll get Lockport, because they basically don't have a choice. They should have been in from the very beginning. This has been going on for 25 years, and I was the guy that spearheaded all this. And that's why I ain't gonna support it. I think it's unfair to the people of District 2, and I'll tell you why. Because we locked in for another 5 years, and the boundary line is the power line. So these people, if this would pass, these people have no say-so from the power line south. They may never get another street. Nothing says that they're gonna get it. They may never get one. I don't understand this. I'll tell you why. Because the president is in sole control of road sales tax 2, and he's in sole control of road sales tax A. This is the pot of money for 2, and this is the pot of money for A. So why you want to put it all in one pot? These people will have no guarantee from the power line south. You have no guarantee. And look, I talked to Mr. Block a while ago, and he says that's not the way it's supposed to work. Well, I've heard a lot of things in 40 years that's not supposed to work, and it's turned around. We, back in 1997, November the 15th, passed a 10-year, 1-cent tax, incidental drainage and roads. It did not pass from the power lines to the north. 35% of the people said yes, 65% of the people said no. South Lafourche from the power line south, now this is not just South Lafourche. From the power line south, there's a lot of streets, and you know it's in your district. It passed 60-40. So what happened when that passed, some of these councilmen got a little excited. They created 3 little districts. They created 3, 5, and 6, and they got it passed, but they were small. You know, wasn't much, it was small. They got some streets fixed. But that was a 10-year tax. When we came with the 20-year tax, they put it all together. They put 3, 5, and 6, they put A. And we kept 2, but we lowered it to half a penny. They kept a penny. We lowered it to half a penny. The only difference is we changed the call, roads, bridges, and drainage, and we brought in Golden Meadow. We did $8 million of work in the town of Golden Meadow because they came in with us when it expired, the 10 years, and then we went with 20 years, it was a new tax. Okay.
Excuse me, 1 second, Mr. Lorraine. Is there a question in this, or are we just going to get a history lesson?
Just let me finish my deal.
Well, this is not council discussion. This is questions for them because they're
Okay, well, I'll
public
do it
addressing the
on
council.
after they finish.
All
My
right,
question
Mrs.
is,
Chasson.
Yeah, see, I lost my train of thought. What I wanted to ask was, so at the next meeting, you're gonna have a breakdown on what it'll look like on taxes for the regular people, Joe Blow on the side, of what it will look like as far as savings for us.
Yeah, so this, I don't want to say this ordinance tonight really does nothing, right? But as Corman mentioned, this is the first step. In order to have the next step, which is the ballot language, we have to create a new district, right? And that's what you're doing tonight. There's nothing that says that because you create the new district tonight, that anything happens. This still has to go to the voters. So all you're doing, since Mr. Lorraine said on the record several years ago that everything should go to the voters, we're gonna hopefully send it to the voters and let them decide, right? And we're gonna show them the savings. We're gonna show them how it's gonna work. And to Mr. Lorraine's point, he's right. The next guy might be from South Lafourche, right? The next parish president may be from South Lafourche. And then it's no guarantee that the people from Thibodeau or the northern Lafourche areas are ever gonna get a road. So we can play both sides. But all this does is create the new district that allows us to take the next step, which is putting the ballot language on the ballot.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, one question. I note on the end at the end of the agenda, there are 3 notices regarding these ad valorem taxes. Ms. Laverne is from Baton Rouge. She'll be driving back by herself. Do you think there'll be any questions that we can answer regarding these notices?
We can't hear while we're in this agenda item,
That'd be
while
great.
we're on that one. So, we'll see, we have, roughly 25 minutes left, so if we can keep the discussion down, we should be able to get through all that before 6, before public hearing. Any other public comment on item 6? Third and final call, public? All right, council discussion. Mr. Lorraine,
shall I continue?
you shall continue if you can do it quickly, please, sir.
Thank you, sir. I want to let you know that we tried 5 times parish-wide and it failed. Not 1 time, not 2 times, not 3 times, not 5 times. So I came up with this idea. And whether you like it or not, it's been going on for 25 years and it works. So you should finish out your 5 years, leave it alone, finish out your 5 years, let it taper out, and whoever's sitting on this council fixes it the way they want. But don't go interfere with the ball game when you got 5 years left. Now, let me tell you the deal when we went to a 20-year tax. We went A, 20 years, and we went to 20 years. The difference is A stayed at a penny, and 2, I was smart enough to lower it because we did most of our streets, and we changed the tax code, roads, bridges, and drainage. Why do you think all our bridges get fixed? Because we got the money. Look at the Valentine Bridge. 7 years it's sitting there. It's a mile and a half out the district. I'm sure they got enough money to fix it, but that would go all to that, my opinion. So what I'm trying to say is the difference is a half a penny still from the power lines, north, south, and we brought in gold and metal. Now let me tell you, when it came to a vote of the people, the vote in road sales tax A to combine 3, 5, and 6 was 54% yes and 46% no. That's pretty close. Now let me tell you what the vote was from the power line south, including gold and metal. 84% yes and 16% no. Big difference. We had to do this because we had the fire trucks, we had the ambulance, we had the school buses, we had everybody didn't want to go down the streets. That's how bad they were. And we had people coming to that podium with some dust in little bags and throw it in our face because they had to live on shell roads and dust. So, you know what? We were able to solve that problem for 25 years. So leave it alone. Now, you could try to create your district, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'll do everything I can to go against it. I'll tell you publicly. Because you got 5 years left, finish it out. Then, I don't know if I'll be sitting up here in 5 years. Some of y'all might, some of y'all might not. Take it from there. People already spoke. People already voted. Now you're going to tell me there's some people that voted for that that's not here anymore. A lot of them passed away. But that was how they voted. It was done. Finish it out. That's all I'm asking for.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Any other council discussion? All right, with no further discussion, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of number 6? Aye. Any opposed? Who's the nays? All right, motion passes with 7 yeas, 2 nays, being Mr. Lorraine and Mr. Araby. What's that?
3 nays.
You're a nay? Oh, I'm sorry. 6 yeas, 3 nays. Nays being Mr. Lorraine, Mr. Araby, and Mrs. Shasso. All right. Item number 7, ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 3, Section 2-36, Precinct Polling Places, Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances, and changing the polling location for Ward 10, Precinct 11 to Galliano Elementary School, and to further establish the effective date of same, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Lorraine, second by Mr. Araby. Any public comment? Second call public. Third and final call public. Any council discussion? We'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 8, ordinance approving a lease agreement between Lafourche Parish School Board and the Parish of Lafourche for leasing the premises located at 148 West 158th Street, Galliano, Louisiana, 70354, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Lorraine, second by Mr. Otan. Any public comment? Second call public. Third and final call public. Any council discussion? With no discussion, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 9, ordinance amending ordinance number 6697 that amended ordinance number 6657 that adopted the 2022 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget for the Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided for by Article 5 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Jones. We do have item A which is an amendment by Mr. Lorraine. It says, removing the unclassified executive branch employees' salaries increases of parish administrator, director of finance, human resources, grants and economic development, communications, public works, and plans and permits in order to vote on the raises separately for all Head Start employees. So I have a motion by
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Lorraine.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I was told that we can't put this amendment.
All right, so you pulling that?
Well, let me finish.
All right.
I just want to say that not long ago, Mr. Otam made an amendment on the budget to 5%. You remember that? He was able to do it. Mr. Jones has made some amendments, but I can't. So I don't know why, but I'll just pull it.
All right. The amendment is pulled. So back to original item number 9 with a motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Jones. Any public comment? Second call public. Third and final call public. Any council discussion? Mr. Otan.
Yeah, so I will say that I was in agreement that this, I would have preferred that this been separate from others. Kind of feels like what happens on a national level when, bills kind of get butchered and they try to, different politicians try to throw different things on there. So I would have preferred, and I did express this to Mitch, that it be separate. With that said, this was a very challenging one for me to do another raise for department heads, a top tier. And, when I look at the $600-something we pay for directors, I think back to poor Buzz Bro, who didn't get any directors, and had it been that much money, more money going towards the parish. But at the same time, you have to have output. Inflation is going through the roof. And at this point, for me personally, I'm going to trust the parish president and his recommendations. And I just hope he holds everyone's feet to the fire, and our citizens get the output that we're so rightfully deserving.
Thank you, Mr. Otan. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Nooney, I respect that. I can go back over the last 2 years and probably show you 7 different times you guys voted on stuff that was stuck together, right? So it's not, I don't want the public or you guys to think that we're trying to hide anything, because we're truly not. We do this all the time with the budget ordinance. But I will say that, and again, I respect the second comment, right? We have a very tough time when it comes, and you guys have seen this over the years, finding department heads, one, that want to come to work for only 4 years, right? And then we have to compete with the private sector, who will steal these guys away from us all day long. So in essence, and again, it's going to come off as a raise for the top tier, but every single employee, classified, unclassified, legislative, all got a 7.5% increase this year, right? When we did this several months ago, we only did the 5% cost of living for the department heads. We did not include the 2.5% merit. So all this is adding what in some cases equates to about $700 a year for a merit increase. Because I think these guys do a substantial job for you guys and for our residents every day, and I think they deserve to be reciprocated.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mrs. Chasson.
I just wanted to say that, during the NACO convention, I got to learn a lot about what our parish administration does. They sit on many boards nationwide when we're at when we were at this NACO convention. And they get a lot of respect and recognition from other states and other counties and other parishes. And I am proud of the work that our administration is doing. And I just wanted to give them that acknowledgement.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other discussion? Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick that I looked at the numbers. The original raise was $647,966.36. That was the total amount. Then, when Mr. Armin come up with the 5% cut, it brought it to $625,998.89. A difference of $21,967.47. That was 5% cut. You remember that? Okay. Then Mr. Jones' amendment, he comes back and he brings it to $642.98, a difference of $4,318.38. So what I'm trying to tell you is, with Jones's amendment, it goes back to the original, almost where it was at. And we had shot it down by 5%. So think about that. And, they say they deserve it and all this stuff. So I'm just saying that it was $647,966, and it's back to $643. So what we did, the 5%, it didn't count nothing. Think about it.
Thank you, Ms. Lorraine. Any other council discussion? All right, on item number 9. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bo.
Yeah, I know sometimes we tend to look at Houma, and Houma has a much broader tax base, but we're not Houma. We're not Terrebonne. And I know that inflation's tough, and it seems like the government, which doesn't seem like the United States anymore, is coming at us with everything that's unconstitutional and unheard of. And I just know times are tough. If this was a raise dealing with folks who were not necessarily the poverty level, but you know, our employees, I just wish it wasn't grouped together, because I think the foot soldiers need the raise the most, and I'm not saying that our administrators and folks in the administration don't. It's just tough when a government is giving raises, and we're looking at some very, very tough times. It's not like some things can't be changed or some budgets cut at certain levels versus a lot lower at the average employee. That's where I'm struggling with this. I don't know about everybody else. I'm not saying people don't want to raise. Let's give up. Y'all want to raise? I mean, that's kind of where I am with this. I'm not saying our people aren't good. I'm not saying they don't deserve raises. I'm just really struggling with the state of affairs in this country right now. And I know we're in Lafourche, and we need to take care of our people. I want to take care of the foot soldiers who are carrying out all the orders from on top. That's kind of where I am, but it's just tough. We tried approaching to come up with a compromise twice, and doesn't seem like much of a compromise, but.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. President.
So guys, I'll point out a couple of things, and I don't take this personally on any level. I don't think any of the 7 people behind me do, but when we took office, there was a fund balance in the general fund of $359,000 from the previous administration. We have kept an average fund balance of about $2.5 million over the last 3 years through a pandemic and a hurricane. So when you talk about budgets, Bo, let's talk about the last 4 years when the guys raided the general fund and there was no conversations about what people were getting paid. But we have been obscenely transparent with what we do day to day, and I'm sitting here having to justify why we're doing what we're doing to keep these talented people here, right? And we do. We've given every other employee a significant amount of money. We've done probably 3 different raises for the classified employees since we've been here, and this is the first one we've done for the men and women sitting behind me. And when those employees, we have a lot of good employees, but when they go home at 5 o'clock and they get to forget about these places, these guys don't. These guys are the ones who are answering your emails in the middle of the night, who stayed up for about 4 days after a hurricane to get trash and stuff off this road to get this parish back up and running. So I get all the political semantics and the shots across the bow, but I mean, at the end of the day, guys, if you want to continue to say thank you when we get up and give these presentations and thank them for the hard work they're doing, I think we got to do what we got to do.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Melvin.
See, after tough questions, I think that helps explain a lot when you talk about fund balances, because people want to know what the bottom lines are. If you're talking to 359 versus 2 million, that's a heck of a difference.
And I will also say that about 3 months ago, you guys approved a supplemental appropriation that actually put the money for this stuff in place. So it's not like I'm even coming back and asking you for money that isn't there. You guys voted already to do this. This is the semantics of approving the budget ordinance, because the charter that says that we have to do 2 steps. You have to put the money in place, and you have to physically approve a new budget ordinance. So if you voted for it 3 months ago, I don't see why you wouldn't vote for it tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any other council discussion? All right, we'll take item number 9 to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 10, ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Louisiana Land Exploration Company, LLC, and Lafourche Parish Government in the Golden Meadow area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Lorraine, second by Mr. Otan. Any public comment? Second call, public. Third and final call, public. Any council discussion? With no discussion, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. I have a motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones, to close public hearing. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item N, proposed ordinances. Mrs. Chasson, will you do the honors, please?
11, proposed ordinance requesting no dumping of trash signs be posted south of East 179th Street on the east side of Highway 308, Golden Meadow, Louisiana, Ward 10, District 9, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of no dumping of trash signs. Daniel Lorraine.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move into item O, resolutions. Item number 12, resolution approving an application for federal assistance in the amount of $3,073,082 for the purpose of operating a Head Start program, and authorizing the parish president and council chairman to sign, execute, and administer said application and in all relevant documents. Motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Jones. Any council discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 13, resolution appointing 2 members to the Industrial Development Board of the Parish of Lafourche. Motion by Mr. Otan. Mr. Otan, who do you have?
Melanie Bruce and Craig Roussel.
Melanie Bruce and Craig Roussel have a second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. We have item 14, resolution reappointing 1 member to the Special Education District Board Number 1, Mrs. Chasson. Mrs. Chasson, who do you have?
1 vacancy, 1 reappointment, Mr. Peter Louvier.
Reappointment of Mr. Peter Louvier, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 15, resolution appointing 2 members to the Lafourche Parish Game and Fish Commission Board. Mr. Otan. Mr. Otan, who do you have?
Joy Acosta and Stefan Acosta.
Joy Acosta and Stefan Acosta. I have a second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 16, resolution reappointing 1 member to the Fire Protection District Number 3 Board representing the town of Golden Meadow. Motion by Mr. Lorraine. Mr. Lorraine, who do you have? Mr. Morris Guidry, and second by Mr. Otan. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 17, resolution approving change order number 3 from LA Contracting Enterprise, LLC, for the project titled East Side Drainage Improvements, decreasing the contract price by $243,422.98, and increasing the contract time by 12 days, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order, and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? We'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, I just want to ask a question. 243,000, that's a decrease in the price?
It says decreasing the contract price by $243,422.98.
Right. In other words, they're giving you back $243,000.
Or not charging you for that amount.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So just think how much money was made if they're going to give you back 243. That's the way I look at it.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. We'll take number 17 to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 18, resolution approving the purchase of 1 6x15 adoption rescue trailer in the amount of $45,600 from Jones Trailer Company for the Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Mr. Jones, you have some discussion?
Just like the records show that no relation.
Got you. Any other council discussion? We'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 19, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Lafourche Parish Government and the Oshner Bayou LLC, doing business as Oshner St. Anne, accepting a donation of $50,000 to assist with the costs associated with the construction of a fitness court, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Araby, second by Mr. Otan. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention, being Mr. Groh. Item P, pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:19.1, notice of consideration of action regarding sales and use tax notice is hereby given that the parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, acting as the governing authority of Road Sales Tax District of the parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, will meet on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022 at 5 p.m. at the Matthews Government Complex, 4876 Highway 1, Matthews, Louisiana, at which time there will be consideration of an action regarding the calling of an election to authorize the levy and collection of a sales and use tax dedicated to constructing, improving, and/or maintaining public roads, bridges, and drainage works in the district, and for the funding of the proceeds of the tax into bonds. Ms. Chasson, on behalf of administration. Item Q, Pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:19.1, notice of consideration of action regarding sales and use tax notice is hereby given that the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, acting as the governing authority of Sales Tax District Number 4 of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, will meet on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022, at 5 p.m. at the Matthews Government Complex, 4876 Highway 1, Matthews, Louisiana, at which time there will be consideration of action regarding the calling of an election regarding the reduction of an existing sales and use tax currently being levied and dedicated to the paying to the cost of constructing, acquiring, maintaining, and operating solid waste collection, and for the disposal facilities and closing garbage dumps for the district. Mrs. Chasson, on behalf of administration. Item R, pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:19.1, notice of consideration of action regarding ad valorem tax notice is hereby given that the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, will meet on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022, at 5 p.m. at the Matthews Government Complex, 4876 Highway 1, Matthews, Louisiana, at which time there will be consideration of action regarding the calling of an election regarding an existing ad valorem tax currently being levied and dedicated to acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, and operating drainage works in the parish, including the acquisition, operation, and maintenance of drainage-related vehicles, machinery, and equipment. Mrs. Chasson, on behalf of administration. Item S, pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:19.1, notice of consideration of action regarding ad valorem tax notice is hereby given that the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, will meet on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022, at 5 p.m. in the Matthews Government Complex, 4876 Highway 1, Matthews, Louisiana, at which time there will be consideration of action regarding the calling of an election regarding the renewal of existing ad valorem tax currently being levied and dedicated to acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, operating, and/or supporting public facilities, works, and/or improvements in the parish, including equipments, furnishings, and supplies. Mrs. Chasson, on behalf of administration. Okay, we have 2 minutes, so,
You guys received the financials by email, I think, from Mitch, so we can skip that step.
all right. Item T, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, Managers Reports. Item 20, Finance Representative to present the monthly financial report as required by the state agreed upon procedures for August 2022. That has been completed. So before we move on to public hearing, which we'll do in about a minute, if we can get Assessor Thibodeau to gather her stuff and go between President Chasson and Mr. Jones. We're doing this because the public hearing that we had a while back, we took a lot of time with different folks walking back and forth to the podium to be able to speak. So we will place her at a microphone spot at the desk, and the petitioner or the attorney representing them can have the one at the podium. Try. T-Boo, sit down for one quick second. Right there. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mrs. Chasson to deviate from the published agenda and move to item H, Board of Review and Public Hearing at 6 p.m. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Okay, in about, boy, it's time. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones to open public hearing as the Board of Review. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 4, serving as the Board of Review, the council will hear public comments and protest values of property for the assessment purposes fixed by the Lafourche Parish Assessor's Office. Notice to the council, the public, attorneys, and the assessor. Each assessment and tax bill protest and the published agenda items, number 5, items A through FFF, will be read out loud, followed by a call from the assessor for an explanation. The appeal filer or their designated spokesperson or legal counsel for comment, and the assessor will be afforded the opportunity for comment following that as well. A call for council member questions, either to the appeal filer or assessor, will take place before the vote of the council as the Board of Review. It says here in all 54 appeals, but we did have some pulled. A vote of yea from the board equates to approving the appeal, and a vote of nay denies the appeal. A final vote tally will be announced with the total number of for and against votes and approval or denial of the appeal as a result of those votes. Is there any other member of the public outside of the appeal filer, legal representative, or the assessor that wish to comment on the protest values of property for assessment purposes fixed by the Lafourche Parish Assessor's Office? Second call, public comment. Third and final call, public comment.
Jim,
Yes.
you said it fast, so yay approves it and nay denies it. 'Cause
Yes,
I know
sir.
last few years we had trouble with this.
That is correct.
Okay, so approve is yay.
Everything is to approve
Okay,
the appeal. So
right.
if you vote yay,
It
it
approves
is to
it.
support the
You
appeal.
don't- and I vote
Nay
nay.
is not to support it. Yes, ma'am.
Phyllis Sims with the law firm of Keen Miller. You asked for public comment. Is that in general or
Just
is
in
that?
general on
Just in general,
anything.
right? I'm not on each individual
No,
one.
we'll have a
Okay,
part for
I
that.
just wanted to make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item number 5, approve or deny any protest, receive and submit results to I'm sorry, wrong paper. All right, Mr. Robert Terrio or their representative. Sir, if you want to approach the podium, state your name and address for the record.
I'm Robert Terrio, 414 Eagle Drive, Raceland, Louisiana.
All right, Mr. Terrio, and you are here to speak on your behalf for item 5A, is that correct?
I would assume, I'm not looking at your agenda.
Okay. Item A, written appeal for Mr. Robert Terrio, assessment tax bill number 00311871100. Mrs. Thibodeau, you have an explanation? Mr. Terrio?
You want me to start my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
In my presentation, I'm going to show you the evidence that I brought along, which all of you should have copies of. In that evidence would be proof of me living in Lafourche Parish, active sale on a property in Texas, tax returns for
Mr.
the
Terrio,
past 2
can you
years.
move closer to the microphone? She's having trouble picking you up.
I don't know how much closer I'd have to get here.
She said that's good.
Okay. You need me to repeat it, or?
No, sir, you can continue.
Okay. Charts and tables on the valuations, and also hurricane damage. At the beginning of the evidence that I provided, you'll see roughly 12.5 affidavits that were taken, showing that I've lived in Lafourche Parish, had that residence for a number of years. Depending on the person that signed the affidavit, that gave us the time span that I've been living here, will show you that I've lived here for much more than 2 years on all of these affidavits. I also have my wife. We've been married for right at 1.5 years, 2 years, and she would be glad to testify in that regard also, if need be. The next piece of evidence that you should have is the sale of property that I had in Texas. If you see it here that I'm holding up, and that's an active sale, transfer of deed for my residence at Kirbyville, Texas. It's a camp that I had over there showing that specific address. And that was the item of discussion of the supposed homestead exemption for that piece of property. The next item was a question that came up in a previous appeal hearing at the beginning of this year. One of the council members wanted to see tax returns. As I indicated at that time, I did not have the 2020 and the 2021 tax returns completed. Those returns have been completed, and as you can see, those returns in the evidence file. So if you have any questions on my tax returns. And the final piece of evidence would be the valuations. And what I have done on valuations is I looked at uniformity within the area, which included the uniformity on the Eagle Drive where I live. And that would be this chart, or this graph right here, a bar graph that you should have in your packet. And as you can see, the uniformity is very lacking as far as assessment values. What it should look like, something similar to what I discovered on Elm Street. And on Elm Street, I have a bar chart, and as you can see, it's pretty much a straight line. So you have a lacking of uniformity within the area. And I've also put together tables of all of the properties on both Elm and on Eagle that do not have a freeze on their property. Because as you know, once you place a freeze on a property, then it will not go up in valuation. So these are properties that will see some type of valuation change as the reappraisals are done. The reason I wanted to put together this table, it illustrates where the bar chart came from. For example, 101 Eagle Drive would be the first bar that you see on the bar chart. So you see the correlation here. The first bar would be the first house on Eagle, and you can go right down the line. And I calculated your averages, and as you see, there's three different lines. You have unsold average, and then you have your Eagle average for 2022. And to clarify, an unsold average would be properties that have not sold since 2002. And since my house has not sold since 2002, I feel that I would fall in the unsold average and not in the sold average. Your sold averages are going to be a little higher. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Terrio? Yes, sir, Mr. Grove.
I guess it's more for Ms. Wendy. I mean, do we, I guess your bar chart is challenging the software that you use. I mean, do we even have the authority to do this as a parish council?
Yeah, that worked. I have no idea how he came up with these numbers because the majority of the square footages are confidential. So I don't know where he got those numbers from. It's the law that the square footages of homes that are rendered to me are confidential. And these values that are throughout the parish are assessed according dollar per square foot of living area. So I don't know if these numbers have non-living area, if it includes a breezeway, a porch, a patio. I have no idea where he got it from, and because they're confidential. So I can pretty much bet that the square footages I have and the square footages he have are not the same. And that would cause the inequity in value.
I'd like to answer that if I could.
All right, sir.
That square footage information came from the Louisiana Tax Commission. They do not feel that it is confidential. And as a transparency in government, I'm requesting that the assessor provide square footage information because she bases her assessments on square footage, and therefore that should be open to the public.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Grove?
I'd like to call to a vote. Can we do that?
All right, we got to hear from Ms. Thibodeau first.
What's the statute?
Ms. Thibodeau, you have anything to add on that one?
There's a statute that makes it confidential. We're getting the statute number for you. I'm not going to jail for it. It's on every single solitary lat form that is produced by the Louisiana Tax Commission. All right. This can be pulled up on the Louisiana Tax Commission's website. It is 472327. Only the assessor, the governing authority, and legal citation, oh wait, that's the next thing. Authority and Louisiana Tax Commission shall use this form filled out by the taxpayer solely for the purpose of administering this statute.
Could I get you to repeat that?
You can look it up.
47,
23, 29.
Okay.
Or 20.
23,
47,
27.
23, 27, correct?
Yes.
I hate rolling chairs.
All right, Mrs. Thibodeau, you have anything to add?
Yes, this is the same issue we had last year. It did go in front of the Louisiana Tax Commission. As far as valuation goes, I'll take this in two separate issues. The valuation, the Tax Commission sent out an appraiser. He came up with the value of his property at $149,000. And as you can see in your packets, the Tax Commission ruled for 2021's value at $134,800 because of the hurricane reduction, the 25% reduction. So they approved the values that I had. They upheld my values of the 155. So because with assessed value, it has to be between 90% and 110% of market value. And their appraiser came out, appraised the property at 149. I had it at 155, which fell into that 90 to 110% range. So therefore, they upheld my value. The reason why in 2021 it went down to 134.8 is because the 155 with the 25% Hurricane Ida reduction. As everybody is aware, that reduction was removed for everyone, including Mr. Terrio. That is for the valuation purpose. As far as the homestead exemption, it is not applied for 2022 because it is currently under litigation. You will also see in your packets that he has filed suit and then challenged the homestead exemption, and it is going to go to trial. I don't know the exact date, but that is going to be heard in front of a judge, and whatever the judge tells me, I'm going to do for 2021 and 2022. It's just that I can't touch this assessment as long as it's under litigation.
Thank you, ma'am. Any council members have any questions for Mrs. Thibodeau or Mr. Terrio? All right, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal? All in favor to deny? All right. Motion failed, or appeal failed, denied by a vote of 8 nays, 0 yeas, and 1 abstention being Mr. Wendell. Thank you, Mr. Terrio. Oceaneering or a representative from Oceaneering? Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Yeah, Schaffner Smith, 13105 Northwest Freeway, Houston, Texas.
You said Smith or Schmidt?
Smith.
Smith? She can't hear you for the recording. Can you just step
Do you need me to
closer when you
repeat
speak?
that? Do you need me to repeat that? Schaffner Smith, 13105 Northwest Freeway, Houston, Texas.
Stephen Shaw, same address.
All right, gentlemen, you guys are here to speak on items B through D of our agenda. Item B, written appeal from Oceaneering, assessment tax bill number 210-338-9901. You can go ahead.
Yes, so in our evidence that we gave to everyone up there, we start on our page with the EO. We weren't asking for any economic obsolescence. We just wanted to show that Oceaneering they have not been doing very well the past few years. So we use 2014 as a benchmark because that's what they're capable of producing. And as you can see, it's gone down pretty drastically since then. And as we flip through here, we also have our Form 3101s. The way we came to our value on the 3101 form is we use the state passed Louisiana Tax Commission watercraft tables, which I also included Chapter 7, which is where watercraft valuation comes from for the state.
My comments are going to be general for all the accounts, all 3 accounts, so can I do it after the 3rd account?
Sure.
Once he talks through the value?
We're going to vote
that
on them
fine?
individually as
Oh,
we
you're
go,
gonna
so if you
vote
want to say it
individually?
on this one, that,
I'll just say it on this one, and then it'll carry over through the other two.
Okay.
If that's all right.
you just need to get closer to the microphone so she can
Okay,
pick you up.
sorry about that. So, Ms. Thibodeau, do you have the packet that we handed out? Okay.
I can grab that for you real quick, Mr. Deville.
Oh, there you go.
You have one for the record?
So we'll start with this packet, to the point that Mr. Schaffner-Smith made. The tables that we're using are the current,
She can't hear. If you
the
could
current,
just pull it
okay.
down a little bit.
To the point that Mr. Schaffner-Smith made, the tables that we're focused on is the current approved Chapter 7 tables for the valuation of these vessels. Ms. Thibodeau has proposed new tables, which have not been approved, but therefore, she has used these tables to value these vessels and other vessels within her parish for tax year 2022, with a lien date of January 1, 2022, as we all know. This packet here, this is page 4 of the overall packet, which is this. I won't go through the whole packet, but this is what she's proposed and given to the tax commission as proposed new tables for Chapter 7. This is page 4 of that table. If you look at the chart, part of her premise is raising the values based on the cost of steel. She stopped in at the end of the first quarter of 2021 when it was at its highest at $1,835 for price of steel. The next page, if you look at, is an article written in regards to rolled steel, and the page after that is a chart. So as you can see, 2021 is the beginning of the chart. April is the peak, which is where her price of steel stops. But as you can see, the price of steel has drastically gone down since then. We're now in 2022, which is around the 900 mark. And then the next chart that I have here is also in regards to steel, and you can see a 5 to 6 year view of what steel prices have done. So our issue with focusing on steel is that that's fine. That's what a lot of these boats are made of, obviously. However, you can't adjust the value for tables that are going to be in place for 2 or 3 years or longer based off a peak. We would ask that Ms. Thibodeau look at the overall average and what prices are doing currently versus just that peak. The next page, I also like to mention that in her presentation and proposal to the tax commission, she mentioned that she only changed OSV vessels and there wasn't a significant increase. However, you look at all the tables within her packet, and we'll kind of peruse through those real quick. But the main focus is on the OSV. That's one of the accounts that we have coming up, which is the larger of our 3 vessels based on value. Well, that ends in 01 also. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the account we have up now. If you look at my chart here, she mentioned there wasn't significant increases. However, if you look at the comparison of the approved state tables versus the non-approved state tables, we're looking at 50% all the way up to 503% in a value change just for offshore vessels, which is significant in my book. So just look at, our vessel falls in this bottom chapter, or this bottom category. 320 feet is the length. We're a little bit longer than that. But last year we're at 9 million based on base cost. There's some other factors that bring that value up. There's a multiplier and some depreciation factors. But the main focus is where the value starts on base cost. Non-approved for the same boat is 53,800,000 and some change. So a significant increase. However, in her comments, she did say that this was the only vessel category that had changes, but there's changes throughout all the vessels. Some values went up, some values went down, some value stayed the same. But as you can see, the OSV that we're primarily concerned about in this hearing today, significant increases. And specific to our vessel, which we're looking at right now, 98% value increase year over year. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Thibodeau?
Okay, so what I did is, it is part of my obligation and duty as the assessor of Lafourche Parish to value all property at market value as accurately as possible. These tables that he is referring to, not the ones that were submitted by the Louisiana Assessors Association in my capacity as the chairman. It isn't Wendy that submitted these tables. It's the association that submitted these tables. I just merely spoke on their behalf because I am the chairman of that committee. And the tables that were presented were supposed to be adopted on September 21st. But backing it up for this year is that these tables that he would like me to use are values according to 2018 market values, not 2021. So as the assessor, I felt that these were obscenely undervalued. Therefore, I have the discretionary measure to use the cost approach, and that's what I did. And I came not just for Oceaneering, but for all of the assessments, all of the appeals. I went and used an average cost approach, and you all have that table in there. For Oceaneering, they have a LAT form that they are supposed to fill out. And when they filled out their LAT form, one of the blocks is the cost of the vessel. They put 0. That was their rendition, is that the cost of the vessel was 0. So if they don't provide me with any information, I have to go with the information that is best available. And that's why I went with the average of all of the cost and the information that was provided to me. And I just did an average base cost. And the cost multiplier, I just used that to get the replacement cost new, because that is the formula for cost approach. It's replacement cost new minus depreciation, and you get value. And that's exactly what I did. On top of getting replacement cost new, after the depreciation, they get an effective age obsolescence. They get a decrease for the age of the vessel, and then they also get obsolescence for the days that they didn't work. I additionally, because the oil and gas industry, it is recuperating, I gave them all vessels, not just them, all vessels, a 20% economic obsolescence. On top of the 50% obsolescence they got last year for the hurricane, the 20% obsolescence that they got the year before. And I am just trying to be fair to everyone. And that's why I chose to use the cost approach in this. And yes, the tables are based on the same methodology, and it just takes 2 years for the tax commission to adopt these tables. And I chose at my discretion to use this to be fair to everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from Mr. Smith, Shaw, or Mrs. Thibodeau?
Yes, can I ask Mrs. Thibodeau why in the past 6 years we filed the exact same way on the rendition, and she has just now decided to go with this method instead of veering from the tables?
Because the last 6 years, the industry has taken a downturn, and I was being fair to industry, not to overtax them. So I went with the lower rate, the lower value. That is not the case. As in councilman and even you all said, it has increased. If it's not to your liking, there is an arena for that. Did y'all rebut these tables that I proposed in June? The rebuttal was in July.
We're working on that now.
The rebuttal was in July. Did you
We
show
were
up to
unaware
rebut
this
it?
was going to be shown.
Have y'all ever produced any information to the Assessors Association, more so the chairman, on what the value should be or the cost multiplier? Have y'all ever done that since 2008?
Well, the fact of the matter,
I'm doing the best I can with the information I have. If you don't like it, then do it. Do the work. Because I spend these people's money in getting this information. I spend their money getting the information. On top of hurricane, on top of oil and gas, on top of homesteads, on top of everything else. If you don't like it, there is an arena for it. I didn't like it. So I stepped up, spent Lafourche Parish money getting the values, and I proposed it to the tax commission, which is the procedure that is in place every single solitary year. Industry chose in 2008 not to participate. If you want to participate, I am more than happy for you all to do the tables.
Well,
Please do the
We're
tables.
participating now, we're just asking you to use the current approved tables.
I am using a cost approach. I am going through procedure, just like you are. Whatever is decided, I will follow the decisions. I'm just giving you, this whole process here is for you all to say your side and me to say my side. They will decide on what they want. I'm just explaining why and how I did what I did.
And one more comment, these tables were passed in 2021. You mentioned 17 earlier.
The numbers, I know where the numbers came from because I, again, did those numbers, and they were from 2018, not 17.
All right, if there's no discussion, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of the appeal? All right, any for denial of the appeal? All right, appeal denied with 9 nays, 0 yeas. Item C, written appeal from Oceaneering Assessment Tax Bill Number 210-3389904. Mr. Smith or Shaw?
You can go for me.
I've already given my,
It's the same.
information.
Same thing, Mrs. Thibodeau?
Again, they provided zero cost on their lat form.
All right, we'll take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All to deny. Motion, appeal denied with 0 yeas and 9 nays. Item D, written appeal from Oceaneering Assessment Tax Bill Number 210-3389900. Anything else?
Same approach.
Same thing?
Same
Mrs.
thing, zero.
Same thing. Take it to a vote. All in favor of approving the appeal, say aye. All in favor of denial. Appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, Hornbeck Offshore Services or a representative from Hornbeck? Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Adams with the Jones Walker Law Firm. My address is 201 St. Charles Avenue, New Orleans, Louisiana.
All right.
And along with me,
My name is Linda Garcio. I'm with Hornbeck. My address is 16 Rue Dijon, Kenner, Louisiana.
Okay, and just remember, as you guys speak, move in front of the microphone so she can pick you up on there. Just for the record, you guys will be speaking on each item, numbers E through AA.
yes, sir, that's correct.
All right, we'll start off with item E, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380845, the Hoss Strong Line.
Again, may it please the board, the issues involved in these matters are very similar to what you just heard from Ocean Engineering. And I don't necessarily want to go through the whole thing again. In the package you've got for each one of those appeals, which we've provided there on your agenda, I've reviewed, is our appeal form, along with the Coast Guard information regarding each of the vessels, along with a spreadsheet that will show you the difference between what the Louisiana Tax Commission's regulations dictate the value, fair market value should be, versus what the assessor assessed them on the rolls, which is, overall, it's a 400% increase from year to year for these vessels between last year and this year for, they vary by vessel, but I'm trying to be general to save some time. But there's also a comparison of the two charts. The gentleman before talked about the commissions, and I don't want to necessarily belabor the point. I just want to make a couple of points. And the assessor is correct. There's a procedure for changing the rules and regulations of the tax commission, and she's doing that for 2023. These assessments are for 2022, and that is what the assessment should be based upon. The assessments, regulations of the Louisiana Tax Commission are promulgated under the Louisiana Procedure Act. They have the full force and effect of law. And so when she's doing those assessments for 2022, she needs to follow those rules and regulations. And they are based on the cost approach. She just wants it to be different, and she's gone through the right process. And it may change, it may not change. But that's the process that should be followed for these taxpayers. Again, that's the reason why we believe that these appeals should be considered and approved by the board. Again, I don't want to belabor the point on this, but I do point out I'm a tax lawyer, I've been doing this for a long time. This is going to result in a lot of costly litigation to get to the point I think we're going to end up if you approve these appeals. If she's right next year, it'll change, and we won't be here. We'll follow the rules and regulations as promulgated by the tax commission. And so I think that's the reason why we're here and appealing this, and I think, ultimately, under the law, the assessor's obligated to follow those rules and regulations. I've handled a case almost identical to this in another parish. After years of litigation, the courts ruled in favor of the taxpayer, and it resulted in a bunch of refunds back to the taxpayer. That's not what I don't think y'all want. So I ask you to look at the appeals, understand what the rules and regulations are, and apply them as written by the commission. Linda, do you have anything to say?
Well, I would just like to add that we didn't get our assessments this summer, like we've done the last 16 years. It didn't come. It got lost in the mail, we were told. And then once I became aware of these new values, I've asked repeatedly to see how they were derived, and we couldn't get that information. So we really don't know exactly how they were derived, except that I was able to get, back to the calculations to the dollar using these proposed tables that haven't been voted on yet. And when I talked to the tax commission, they said, well, don't worry, that's effective for 2023. But when I got on the website and saw my bills, they went up 500%. And it was only for offshore supply vessels, not other types of vessels. So I read the whole report, and it talked about steel being the main driver. But, the price of steel went up because of the COVID crisis and the supply chain problems. It has since come down. And I also was told by the people that build our boats that that's not even the kind of steel that offshore supply vessels are built with. And also that no supply vessels have even been built in the last few years in the country because there's no demand for them. We can go buy used ones for a fraction of the price. So, those were the points that I just wanted to make from the company's perspective.
Thank you, Ms. Thibodeau.
I just want to know why they didn't submit all of this in the rebuttal hearing in July. Not one person from industry came to the rebuttal, because contrary to what you might believe, is that I am very willing to work with industry. I did the best that I could do with the information provided. This is the first that I am hearing that y'all are unhappy with this. And I just want to point out in your packets, in there, in Hornbeck on this first one, and it's in every single one of them, the comparison, the average lat form, it's this one right here on this paper. The average lat 11 cost for these size vessels, and that's the amount that I used. These are the average costs for those size vessels. The assessor base cost, if you look and see, I am lower, significantly lower than the average base cost that was rendered by them, not just Hornbeck. Theirs, this is all Hornbeck's. This is all y'all's. This is exactly what's written on their lat forms, the numbers that they gave me and what I used. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 that I'm higher than what they rendered. 4 out of 23. I think that's pretty good. And I'm just saying, if what you're saying, because there's conflicting information, because the commissioner himself said to me in another case that the rules and regulations are merely a guideline. That's what he told me. And it wasn't for you, it was for an oil and gas company. Y'all all remember Tana. He told me that. So my point is that if it's a guideline and you're saying that I'm upheld by the tables, then y'all should be upheld that you didn't rebut it and they should be adopted. Like, you can't piecemeal this stuff. You can't have it both ways. Either if we're going to follow a procedure and I'm going to be, if the tax commission rules that I have to follow the tables, then y'all have to follow the rules too. And I'm just saying, I explained why and where I got my information from. And I'm just asking, which I've been asking since 2008, for industry to have their input as well.
No, I was just going to comment. I understand, Assessor, I appreciate those comments. And you're correct.
You need to be
You're right.
closer to the microphone.
I'm sorry. For 2023, you're right. Absolutely. They need to come to the table. But these are 2022 values, and that happened a year ago. And there was no proposal made back then, correct?
Yes.
So that's what we're based this on. Our values are based on 2022, and that's how we report it, and those are values we want. Again, this isn't the right forum to talk about what the tax commission should do.
I agree.
I agree. So that's why I'm focused on 2022 and what the regs say for 2022. You value property on, as of January 1st of the year in which it was taxed. Each year stands alone. That's why we think the 2022 regs should apply. The law says they should apply. They said the assessor should follow them. The case law says that, and that's why we follow our appeals.
I just have a question. Do all of the assessors follow the tables?
They do, or we end up in litigation.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've appealed Terrebonne, right?
I have not had to appeal Terrebonne yet.
I'm just curious.
Well,
Because maybe you should go back and check, because not all of the assessors follow the table. I'm one of the very few that follow the table majority of the time. I'm just questioning, I was just wondering.
I've argued this in Louisiana Supreme Court, and they've been said assessors have to follow the rules, regulations. So, again, that's not for this venue. I don't want to waste y'all's time on that. But again, we just think the rules and regs should be followed. Linda, do you have any comments?
Well, I was just going to say that I think I recalculated Terrebonne's, and theirs were fine, and they were following the current tables. You know, it's my understanding that there's no other assessor that's using these proposed tables.
That's using cost, that y'all render on the lat forms. Is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure.
That's using the proposed tables that you're using.
Okay.
Any questions? All right, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. To deny the appeal? All right, motion denied, 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item F, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, attachment tax bill number 210-3380819, the Hoss Sandstorm. Mr. Adams, anything additional on that one?
No, sir.
Same thing, Ms. Thibodeau?
No.
Same thing, we'll take item F to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal? All in favor to deny? Appeal denied with 9 nays and, with 0 yeas, 9 nays, sorry. Item G, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 209-3402-680, the Hoss Storm Ridge. Mr. Adams, same thing?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Thibodeau? Yes. We'll take that one to a vote. Item G, all in favor to approve, say aye. To approve it? All right, all in favor to deny it? All right, appeal denied with 0 yeas and 9 nays. Item H, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 211-0000028, the Hoss Brimstone. Mr. Adams.
Nothing additional.
Ms. Thibodeau. No. Take that to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal? All in favor to deny it? Appeal will be denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item I, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380846, the Hoss Captain. Mr. Adams.
Nothing additional, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. We'll take that to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal? All in favor to deny? Appeal is denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item J, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210000030, the Hoss Wild Wing. Mr. Adams.
Nothing new, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. We'll take that to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal? All in favor to deny? Appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item K, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210000032, the Hoss Pinnacle. Mr. Adams.
Nothing in addition, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. I'll take that to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal? Say aye. All in favor to deny? Appeal is denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item L, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 211-0000031, the Hoss Resolution. Mr. Adams.
Nothing in addition, Mr.
Ms.
Chairman.
Thibodeau. We'll take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny? That's going to be denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item M, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-830. The Hoss Black Rock, Mr. Adams.
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. Take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. Appeal is denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item N, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-809. The Hoss Innovator, Mr. Adams.
Nothing in addition, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. Take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. Motion is denied at 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item O, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-834, the Hoss Centerline, Mr. Adams.
Nothing in addition. Mr.
Ms.
Chairman.
Thibodeau. Take that to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny the appeal. Appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item P, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-850, the Hoss River Bend, Mr. Adams.
Nothing in addition, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. We'll take that to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. Appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item Q, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-798, the Hoss Briarwood, Mr. Adams.
Nothing new, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. Take that to a vote. All in favor of approving the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. That's going to appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item R, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 211-0000033, the Hoss Carousel, Mr. Adams.
Nothing new, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
sir. Ms. Thibodeau. We'll take that to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. You were, okay. All right, the appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item S, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-849, the Hoss Warland, Mr. Adams.
Nothing in addition, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. We'll take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. Motion will be denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item T, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-803, the Hoss Claymore, Mr. Adams.
Nothing in addition, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Thibodeau. We'll take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. Appeal denied at 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item U, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-802, the Hoss Commander, Mr. Adams.
Nothing new, Mr.
Ms.
Chairman.
Thibodeau. Take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. Appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item V, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-800, the Hoss Mystique, Mr. Adams.
Nothing new, Mr.
Ms.
Chairman.
Thibodeau. Take it to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. Appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item W, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 211-0000029, the Hoss Cedar Ridge, Mr. Adams.
Nothing new, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. Take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. Motion will be denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item X, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-851, the Hoss Carolina, Mr. Adams.
Nothing new, Mr. Chairman.
Mrs. Thibodeau. All right, we'll take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal, say aye. All in favor to deny. Appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item Y, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380-852, the Hoss Clearview, Mr. Adams.
Nothing new, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. All right, we'll take that one to a vote. All in favor to approve the appeal? Say aye. All in favor of denial? Appeal denied with zero yeas, 9 nays. Item Z, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 211-0000034, the Hoss Red Dawn. Mr. Adams.
Nothing in addition, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. We'll take that one to a vote. All in favor of the appeal, say aye. All for the, denying the appeal. Okay, motion fails. Appeal denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Item AA, written appeal from Hornbeck Offshore Services LLC, assessment tax bill number 210-3380853, the Hoss Lift. Mr. Adams.
Nothing in addition, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Thibodeau. Take that one to a vote. All in favor for the appeal? All against? For deny? All right, motion fails with 1 yea, 8 nays. The nay being Mr. Adams. All right, and that is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, council members.
Okay, item BB, Halliburton Energy Services has been withdrawn. Item CC through DDD, Mormac LLC has been withdrawn. So we will move into Deepwater Supply Incorporated, Resource Rig Supply, or its representative. Your name and address for the record, sir?
Hello, my name is Andrew Hall. Address is 2140 Lake Park, Suite 113, Richardson, Texas.
So your last name was Hall?
Hall,
sir?
H-A-L-L.
Okay. All right, sir, and we are here to talk about item EEE, written appeal from Deepwater Supply Incorporated, Resource Rig Supply Incorporated, assessment tax bill number 1103284051. Please go ahead, sir.
Deepwater Supply has drilling rigs that are offshore. This equipment that's under appeal is the pipes, the risers that are on land waiting to be used, shipped offshore. And so the equipment there, it's Transocean is the parent company that operates the rigs. Let's see. So on page 4, I have a map or an aerial. It shows just the overview of the property, and it's the equipment that's there. So it's not a manufacturing operation. It's just equipment waiting to be used. If it's not in use, then it's not generating any income for the company. So the information that I have that we're going to go over mostly comes from the annual report from Transocean. So it's all public information. There's also information on here that's ROA that comes from Capital IQ. That's all information that's available to the public to see. And so for the big part, what we're comparing is rig utilization, the return on assets, and the operating days, and the drilling revenue, trying to compare whenever they bought the equipment, what the return was, what they were earning at that time versus what they're earning now, and trying to create a comparison. The cost approach was used to create the assessment, and we are in agreement with most of the cost approach, with the exception of we're requesting additional obsolescence to be applied based on trying to marry up the cost approach in the income. So the first few pages here are from Transocean's annual report. Page 7 goes into a little bit of their floaters, what they have. This is all offshore, but it shows you where this equipment that is stored here is being used. So what I've done is gone through and pulled from several different annual reports. On page 16, we talk about rig utilization, and this starts off with a comparison of years 21, 20, and 19, and the utilization for 21 was just 53.4% of their rigs were being utilized. The rest were not in use, not under contract. We also have in here the operating days, and this is from their operating results. Their operating days, their average daily revenue, their rig utilization, and then contract drilling revenues. And so From each of these annual reports, we went through and tried to create a comparison for an understanding of what amount of obsolescence should be appropriate. So the following pages are just the different annual reports and showing where this information comes from. If we take a look, we have a page, it's a production versus capacity questionnaire that we have in the back of the form. It's page 32. But this goes through and measures from 2014 to 2021 those different metrics. So the regularization, a comparison of 2014, they were using 76% versus in 2021 they were at 53%. That's a 38% reduction. The return on assets, the high was 5.7% in 2015 versus 2021 was a negative 0.1. The operating days, as far as the rigs, the full production, we pulled from 2014. This is the highest at that time was 21,893 operating days, compared with 2021 was 7,236. So that's a 67% reduction. And then drilling revenue, which is the comparison that was ultimately used for the obsolescence, was that the high was the 8,952 million versus the actual production in 21 was 2,556. So that's a 71% reduction. So they're not making the same amount of money with this equipment. And so we also looked at prior years. 2012, 2013 was actually higher than these amounts, but 2014 is what we went back to in our comparison. We also have in the packet a review of this type of assets that they've sold in the prior 3 years, and it's a comparison of 2019 sales of the original purchase price versus what they were able to sell it, and they were at 3% of their original cost. In 2020 sales, they were at, again, 3% of their original cost. In 2021 sales of this equipment, they were at 6.7% of this cost. And this is actually equipment that has a little bit of a positive bias because there is equipment out there that's not usable or that's not at the top of its quality. And so that even suggests that the cost less the physical depreciation is nowhere near what the actual market value is for this equipment. We also have in here a comparison of several different share prices as far as the NASDAQ Composite Index, the S&P 500, the S&P 400 oil and gas, and then versus Transocean. And it shows that a prudent investor would most definitely invest somewhere else other than in this industry. And so putting money into this industry is just not happening for these years. So what we've done is we've said, okay, the cost approach that was put in place, less the physical depreciation, we are in agreement with. We're just asking for greater obsolescence to be applied for the 50% of the equipment that's not being used at all, and then the economic obsolescence. And so that's where we've come to as far as our request for valuation, taking into account the idle adjustment and the obsolescence adjustment to really bring it down to reflect where the sales have shown what the value should be.
Ms. Thibodeau?
Okay, like he said, we are in agreement up until the obsolescence, and anytime industry asks for obsolescence, what we require is the Form 10K, and that is on page 30 is what I need you to look at. On page 30, and this is what we do for everybody, and I'm just remaining uniform and consistent with resource rigs as well. Whenever anybody calls up, this is what we request. This is the documentation we request. 4 years, 20 to 20, we want 2020's values and 2021 in order to calculate a depreciation percentage. And if you look on contract drilling revenues, that's what we use for everyone. And if you look over to the last column, the change from from 2020 to 2021 was 19%. It came out to like 19.4 or whatever. I just rounded it up. I did grant him, I granted Resource Rigs a 20% additional obsolescence due to what they had rendered. He's just asking for more than the 20. And I'm just telling you where I got the 20 from.
Any questions? All right, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of approving, I'm sorry, Mr.
So one of the questions I have as I look through all of these, and then this one is, in the appeal to the Board of Review, there's actually specific numbers that are, they annotated with the assessor as determined to be fair market value versus what the person challenging or filing an appeal. And some of these are pretty grossly different. For instance, this one is about 30, they're saying about 30% of what they're assessed as. Am I following that
Yeah,
correctly?
he's asking for, how much obsolescence total are you asking for?
It comes to, I don't know the exact number, but it's
70-something percent?
70-something.
Yeah, that's the difference between 70-something percent he wants off and the 20% that I gave him.
I got you. I just
That-
want to
that's
see
why
the
it's
real
grossly-
numbers. They're pretty low on all of these.
Yeah, when
like,
you
wow,
when you're
there's no
dealing
value.
with big numbers like this,
Time to
the
buy
higher the percentage, the high, the higher the percentage, the more dollar value it is. That's why it's so grossly different. He's asking for 70-something percent, and I granted 20 according to what he turned in.
Copy.
That's the difference.
All right, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of approving the appeal, say aye. All in favor of denying? Appeal is denied with 0 yeas, 9 nays. Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Cantium LLC, or a representative. Can you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Phyllis Sims with the law firm of Keene Miller, representing Cantium, 400 Convention Street, Suite 700, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
And you are here for item FFF, written appeal from Cantium LLC, assessment tax bill number 310-3327904. You can go ahead, ma'am.
Cantium is an oil and gas company. They were formed several years ago, and they purchased a group of assets from Chevron when Chevron was divesting itself from some oil and gas wells. And some of the purchased wells were in federal waters and then some in state waters, which are here in Lafourche Parish. And this is the third year of appeal. 2020 was the first year of appeal on these particular assets. And so that appeal is proceeding through the litigation process as well as 2021. So this appeal is just filed to preserve the company's rights as well as keep the year open so that once 2020 and 2021 are resolved, the company and the assessor can revisit 2022. And I'll be happy to answer any questions on the litigation to the extent that I can, and this appeal as well if you have any.
All right, Ms. Thibodeau?
What she said is accurate. It's just going through the appeal, it's going through the process. We went in front of the tax commission, and now it's going to the State Board of Appeals, and whatever is rendered there, I'm going to be obligated to uphold whatever that rendition, whatever the determination is. And this is correct in what she's doing, is to hold the place so that whatever that rendition is, if the judge says that I have to have those values for 2021, 2022, then I have to do it. So she is absolutely correct in what she's doing.
Thank you, ladies. Any questions? All right, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of approving the appeal, say yea. All in favor of denial? All right, appeal is denied with 0 yeas and 9 nays. I have a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mrs. Chasson, to approve or deny the above heard protests. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. I have a motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mrs. Chasson, to close public hearing as the Board of Review. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Have a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams, to deviate back to regular agenda, item U. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. We'll go into item U, discussion. 21, discussion regarding South Lafourche Veterans Memorial District. Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor.
It's been taken care of.
So you pulling that?
Well, yeah, there's,
All right, thank you, sir. Item V, questions for the administration. Anybody with any questions for the administration? Second call, questions for the administration. All right, moving into item W, Parish President's final comments. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Three quick things. Ms. Lisa Ogeron from the District Attorney's Office asked me to remind everyone about the live ethics training for our yearly ethics, October 5th, 2 p.m. at the Warren Harang Auditorium. Two, we did put back the 3 big recycle bins that we've talked about for several months. Galliana here, and there's one. We moved the Thibodeau one from the field office on Veterans to Nicholls State University, working with Dr. Clune, so the students could use it, plus it's a little bit easier for the public to access. We do have some signs coming in, but just a reminder to the public, those are not trash bins. Do not go throw your crawfish peelings, your batteries, your old sofas in it, and do not put anything around the dumpsters. It's only for recyclable materials. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. We'll move into item X, adjournment. On a motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones, that with no further business, the Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting of September 27th, 2022 be adjourned. All in favor? Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 7:02 p.m. by a vote of 9 yeas, 0 nays.